This is a full showcase of my Stormbrand build for 3.22, and I want to show, it's a kind of a long video, longer than average. I want to show the full details of this build so you can make a call, hey, is this the right build for me? This build has pros and cons, as all builds do. This build can farm certain content better than others, but it is a boss killer. Right here I'm just showing it can clear Uber Cortex with effort. Uber Cortex is never easy, but it can clear Uber Cortex. This build can very easily do Cortex and Maven, but it can also clear Uber Maven. It can clear Uber Maven, I would say, better than Uber Cortex, although it can do both, only because Uber Cortex is unpredictable with the mods. This build's a little bit slower than some, but it's very tanky. All in all, quite tanky. Hardcore viable, yes, if you're a casual hardcore player. If you're trying to do Ubers on hardcore, I would most certainly not do this build. But can indeed do Uber Maven. Can very easily do Maven. Uber Elder, Uber at Ziri. I'm going to show that next. Uber at Ziri. Of course, just showing that this was in fact Uber. Uber at Ziri Maven Witnessed to try to get the Feared going. Can do quite well because it's CI, it's Chaos Immune. It also cannot take Reflected Ellie. Brands can take Reflected Ellie unless you have that. Now I'm going to show a very long setup here on a Forge of the Phoenix, but it has a lot of content, so I wanted to make just a long post where it's unedited, where you can just see, hey, is this the right build for me? This is a totally 100% custom build. This came out of my brain entirely. Now it's a modified version of my other Stormbrand build. I've done Stormbrand multiple times. I did it originally as a Templar, but then proceeded to switch over to Elementalist for high shock, high crit. This was a fun one. This one here has Metamorph, it has Legion, it has Cassia. For Blight, it has Rituals, and it has a lot of monster life. And you can see one thing about this build that's very nice: very high damage content, but also when your brands are totems, you can dodge mechanics in real time. You can look at your screen and see, hey, is something running toward me? Especially with bossing, especially with single target. But also on Blights, this is very nice because, as you can see, you do a lot of damage, and you have a lot of defense. You have a huge amount of energy shield recharge and recovery. A lot of faster start of energy shield recharge rate. Not a huge amount of armor, a very small amount, and pretty much no evasion rating. But Chaos Immune, and for Blights it's great. I think I would think for Delve would be great. I never tested it. Heists and general map clear. If you're a zoomer, it's probably not the build for you because it does not take advantage of haste. We do have 36% movement speed on our shoes, but it still feels slower than another build. I'm working on another build at the moment. I'm working on a Flicker Strike build. It's almost done. It's actually pretty much done, but I just want to make sure it's optimized. I used to do a lot of Wintertide Brand, but then Stormbrand became so much better because of nerfs to cluster nodes, mostly because of nerfs to Brand cluster nodes. Again, this build's really fucking powerful in regards to its damage and its defense. It just, if it had the movement speed, if it was just a very quick build, I used to have a Arcanist Brand Soul Rend. It was very quick. I miss those days because of changes over the leagues, over the years. That was like 3.14 or something. We've had a lot of changes. But if you're a very casual player and you just want to not die, if you're the kind of person who gets mad at yourself and gets pissed at yourself for dying, this may be the build for you. It's very chunky. She's a chunk. At the end we'll go over the details. I'm just showing a full setup. I got this kind of rare Ritual, which gives div cards. I figure unedited, best way to demo build playstyle. I played this build a lot as I was optimizing it, because it is an improvement from my old Stormbrand build. And one thing is, Replica Dragon Fangs came out, and we actually use a level 30 Stormbrand. Our Stormbrand here is level 30. It's regular Stormbrand, it's not alternate quality. We could easily have added Harbingers. As you can see, we've got Eldritch altar here. It was a cool demo. Tier 16. Like, things like this, if you're just playing through stuff like this, very casual. Now, if you're a farmer, if you're really big on farming, you can see why this build may not be for you. Can it do delirious maps? Of course, but it's slower. You have to, the thing about brands is you're not doing quite as much DPS as if you self-cast in some ways. But you can dodge, you can lay the brands, let them do their work and then move out of the way. That's part of why this build, if you like farming regular Maven, this is like the best I've ever made for farming regular Maven. I mean, you can do it deathless like nothing. I've been on Skype, drinking, eating ribs, whatever, and you can just do this. And when you eat ribs, you get barbecue sauce on your fingers, and you can still clear Maven like nothing, because the brands do all the work for you. And you just dodge the mechanics. You don't have to think about aiming. And because we're CI, we don't have to worry about our chaos. So like those green things that come at you, those orbs fall on your head, not a problem. Very soon again I'm going to post that Flicker Spec video and you'll see it's a very different playstyle, but not as good on single target, even though it's fine on single target. It can do stirring up shark. Things like that just fine. If you want to do like Uber Cortex and Uber Maven. Especially Uber Maven, this would be the way to go. Between the two builds. See, I'm just going to let these hit me. No problem. We were checking what I got here. My loot filter was cutting out a lot of cards. I have a custom loot filter that a lot of you may know about. I have not updated it recently. The latest release was actually pretty good. Nothing good. And there it goes. Okay. Through a portal, didn't need to. These kind of things, not so bad. See, pretty tanky. Pretty tanky. An upgrade from my old Storm brand as far as tankiness. A huge upgrade as far as damage, and mostly because if you look, our left click is Assassin's Mark. We get full mark benefit. We're not using mark on hit, because you can't with spells. And then with attacks. You don't get the decreased mark effect, you just get full mark effect. I just put it on my left click. That way, the occasional enemy gets it as I move around, but mostly uniques and rares get significantly more damage because of the crit chance and crit multiplier taken. Actually, it's just power charge and a little bit of life and mana. It's mostly for the crit multiplier. So I have to fight Phoenix again here. You have to make sure you left click them at some point. Our middle click is Lightning Conduit, which pulls off shocks inflicted on the enemy to deal pretty good damage while our brands are doing their thing. So we're letting the brands do their thing, activating. We do not use Swift Brand, which is nice because our brands linger around, and so our brands don't expire all the time. They do expire, but they don't expire quickly, which allows us to use Lightning Conduit like crazy. Brand Recall to pull it forward, which is our W. And then of course we have Vow Discipline as our F, so that our energy shield really doesn't take any damage. We're going to clear out the beast, and we're going to run the Metamorph. And again, you can just walk away, let the brands do their thing. I do like brand builds. I have for a long time, but Storm Brand has become so much better than Winter type brand. Although I do want to play around with Arcadus brand soon. We missed a Metamorph vial, but that's okay. You'll see single target like this on a tier 16 is nothing. So you just walk away and do your thing. Alright, so let's go into the details of the setup. Weapon was custom made. +1 to lightning. We don't want double +1 because we want spell damage and raw lightning. This is a good source of raw lightning dispels. Double damage, crit multiplier, cast speed. And an enchant. You can make this yourself pretty easy. This is where we put Precision, Divergent Frostblink for better cooldown, recovery, maxed out brand recall. We have a ring with conductivity on hit. We put some res on there, mana regen. Less mana cost of skills. You don't want mana burn. Other ring gives us LE weakness on hit and similar other effects. We don't need life. That's a waste. But some raw damage. Here's our replica Dragon Fangs. Whispers of Doom for triple curse. We do 3 curses. This triple curse comes from here, our body armor, along with crit chance and gain a frenzy charge on kill. We have Crown of the Inward Eye. You want 20 to 21% increased, and you definitely want Stormbrand Penetrate. We put some minion stuff, Culling Strike on our minion, and Stone Golem. This is our source of Culling Strike. Concentrated Effect, increased critical damage. We no longer take increased critical chance. Awakened Added Lightning. Inspiration. It can be Divergent, it doesn't have to be. It saves money not to. Here's our level 30 Stormbrand, plain Stormbrand, not alternate quality. We want cast speed. Level 30. From all our stuff, our wand, our shield. We do triple curse, LE weakness, conductivity, and then Assassin's Mark. And then a level 4 empower for +3. Okay. Our shield is custom made. Spell damage, crit chance for spells, +1. We put some fire res. This is where we put some more auras and Assassin's Mark itself. We just self-cast. Bated Breath, very cheap, very simple. Lots of ES because we're CI. Definitely want Lightning Exposure and Unnerve as the implicits on the gloves. Very important. The rest of the stuff, you just want lots of Energy Shield basically. And fill up our res. Get our reses capped. But yeah, that could be Unnerve unique like I have, or it could just be Unnerve in general. And that's quite alright, depending on what you're doing. Our shoes, 36% movement speed, some life regen. We want Energy Shield recharge rate. This probably could be better. We use this here, gives us shock effect and gives us a little bit of ward. Increased effect, of course, on the Starlight Chalice. Quicksilver Flask with Ignite. Bottled Faith with increased effect for more crit and a little bit of life regen and more damage. And then we have armor, a little more movement speed. These could be reversed, frankly. I've got this thing related to bleeding, which should be on this one, this enchant. But yeah, we want a bleed flask and a diamond flask for crit, and then armor flask. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on the tree because you have the POB if you're interested, but mostly it's CI, of course. Bastion of Elements, Shaper of Storms, so that we always shock. Exposure effect, Convergence. Okay, and then over here we have Lightning Penetrance, Disorienting Display for a source of blind, and then Overshock for more shock effect. We no longer use Overshock on the medium. We use Energy from Not for more ES, of course. We use some crit nodes, including pressure points for double damage, which stacks with our wand. And then we use 6 auras by taking advantage of an aura reservation small cluster jewel. Of course, we're not low life. And then we have freeze immunity from Soul of the Brine King, and then I have Soul of Ralakesh. Frankly, I normally take these two for most of my builds. They're very helpful, the bleed and the freeze. Sometimes I take this for poison, sometimes I take this for poison. Not on this one.